Our next featured presenter is Angelina Anderson. Angelina is a two-time captain on the women's soccer team, and this past year received all Pac-12 honors. She's a double major in psychology and English. She carries a rigorous course load involved in research projects and carries a very high GPA. The person that nominated Angelina had this to say about her. She is the gold standard for student athletes at Cal. Take that in for a second. Angelina has incredible leadership ability to not only lead by example and work ethic, but also to be able to sit side by side with someone and get the most out of that person. Whether it be to believe in them, push them, listen to them, hold them accountable, she has an ability to meet them where they are. She takes the demands of a place like Cal and completely thrives. She wants to be the best soccer player possible, best academic student possible, grow in research and give back to her community, all still while balancing the important piece family and friends hold in her life. The sky is the limit for her future. Please join me in welcoming Angelina Anderson.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Like Sean said in that awesome, really thoughtful introduction, I'm Angelina Anderson. I am a junior on the women's soccer team. I play goalkeeper, and I am a double major in psychology and English. Here's a picture of me when I was 11 years old, I think. I grew up in Danville, California, so just 30 minutes away. And as you can see here, I am ready to absolutely tear it up and take names with no apologies. And when I was asked to speak today, I honestly had no idea what I was going to talk about because, like, look at this girl. She has no idea what's in store for her, right? Like, she has no idea that in 10 years she would be up here at UC Berkeley speaking to a crowd of people about leadership. But somehow she's here. And so in that journey of thinking about what I was going to say to you all, it was a bit of a challenge because the leadership role has always been something that's been comfortable for me or just come naturally. So to actually sit and dissect what my leadership style is was a little challenge, but it was so rewarding because I get to stand up here and tell you all that through struggle, I've thrived. And I hope that my vulnerability resonates with you guys tonight as I talk about what it means to be a leader to me. What's in there? I did forget. Damn, I saw you guys forgetting and I was like, no, that won't be me. The reason that I'm up here today is because that little girl fought to get up here. What you don't see in this photo are all the life events going on behind the scenes. At this time, I was 11 years old. My parents were going through a brutal divorce. I was an only child. I spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time confused. I was forced to grow up really quickly. I was forced to learn how to read others, how to take matters into my own hands. And as you can imagine, that's a difficult thing for an 11-year-old to navigate. And so through my teen years and into my early adulthood, I struggled pretty severely with anxiety, depression, and self-harm. But if you were to look at my social, soccer, and academic resume, you would have no idea. I've captained national teams, I've broken records here at Cal, I get good grades, I have great relationships, great friends, all of it. But as I was achieving all of this, I was struggling big time. But I learned something really cool through this struggle. I realized that there was this disconnect with who I was, how I was feeling on the inside, and how I was being perceived on the outside. And when I realized that I had this duality about me, I realized that everyone must have this kind of duality to them. And then when I realized that this duality is a human fact, it allowed me to see people for more than who they are on the outside. I was able to understand that there's more to who they are, there's more to why they do what they do. And this has allowed me to form real connections with those that I lead. And I think that's why they follow. I think, maybe. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough to stand up here amidst all the chaos and sadness going on in the student athlete world right now, with a lot of student athletes taking their life. And I think it's important to say that at Cal, especially as student athletes, we go through a lot. No one is giving us a handout. And so my question every day as I continue to grow as a leader is, how do I get the best out of those around me despite their internal struggle? And what I hope you guys are hearing me say right now is that the fact that we struggle, it's just a human truth, right? We all struggle. We all feel pain. We all have insecurities, guards. We're human. We struggle. It's cool. And understanding that is a key part to leading from a place from truth and authenticity. And one of my favorite researchers, her name is Brené Brown. She speaks about this in one of her TED Talks called The Power of Vulnerability. And she is just an absolute goddess of leadership and public speaking and all that. And she said a few things that really resonated with me in that TED Talk. She said to lean into the discomfort of vulnerability. And unfortunately, it's not that simple, right? Nothing ever is. And there's a little something that often holds us back from doing that, and it's called shame. That question, that voice in your head that's asking, is there something about me that, if it's seen, won't allow me to be connected? Well, the tricky part is that in order for us to feel connected, we must allow ourselves to be fully seen. We must allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And I know you guys might be looking at me up here, even despite my few forgetful moments. You might be looking at me like, wow, she's confident up there. She's courageous. She's being vulnerable. Thanks, but I'm just human too. And I don't feel confident all the time. And especially as a goalkeeper, I do not feel confident all the time. As a goalkeeper, you have to have an insane amount of inner belief, self-confidence, self-advocacy, and it's something that I'm challenged with every single day as a goalkeeper. But I will never forget this one time that I overcame that challenge. It was last spring during our COVID season. The California Golden Bears were up against, you guessed it, the good old Stanford Card down in Palo Alto. And we were winning the game 1-0 from a goal in the first half, and we were just hanging on to that lead like by a literal thread. And in the 88th minute, so with 2 minutes left to play, Stanford gets a penalty kick against me. And I just remember standing on the line telling myself, you've got to save this. You will save this. There's no other option. Girl comes up to take the shot. She kicks it. I dive right. I save it. And we end up winning the game 1-0. It was the first time that Cal had beat Stanford since 2013, the only time so far that I've beaten Stanford in my career. So it was a really cool moment. It was a great moment. But real quick, can you raise your hand in the audience if you are a goalkeeper of any sport? Okay, so there's a whopping 3 of us in here. Yeah, rare breed. So you guys will relate to this, but for the rest of you, let me tell you what it's like to be a goalkeeper in a nutshell. Vulnerable and uncomfortable. You are constantly in a state of the utmost vulnerability in which you must succeed. There's no one picking up your slack. There's no one there to pick it up after you when you mess up. And that's a tough thing. That is a very tough thing. And when I was on that PK line in the 88th minute, it was one of those moments, where everything goes silent, but you can hear your heart beating. You can feel the multitude of eyes on you. You're at the center of it all. And when I was at my most vulnerable on that line, I was really at the source of something great. What makes you vulnerable is ultimately what makes you beautiful. What makes you vulnerable is what makes you powerful and capable. And whether you like it or not, sorry to say this, but we're all going to be on that line facing a PK in the 88th minute where we're feeling vulnerable. And the easiest answer is to make ourselves feel small. And when I was on that line in the 88th minute, I was vulnerable, I was uncomfortable, I was isolated, but I was anything but small. And now I'm thinking back to this small girl right here, this vulnerable young girl. And it all relates to this bigger picture of how at some point in our lives we will be on that line facing a PK. And it's uncomfortable, it's vulnerable, but vulnerability is the birthplace of success. And I'm still figuring it all out. I'm not gonna stand up here and act like I've perfected the craft. I'm still figuring out how to be confident in that vulnerable space, but I can say with a smile that I'm growing and learning and changing, and I'm strong, intelligent, smart. I'm a fierce leader who owns her struggle. And with those things, I know that wherever I go, I've got it, And also that Cal degree in my pocket isn't gonna hurt going forward. But now that you've heard me talk my spiel, and this is the goalkeeper in me expecting something out of all of you, I want to challenge you just to think of a moment when you were at your most vulnerable, and just sit with that for a second and think about how that feels. It doesn't feel great, right? Well, here's the bearer of bad news again. You're going to feel that way at some point in your life. Again, we all will. And so if you take anything away from all that I've said tonight, it would be to change the narrative about what it means to be vulnerable and authentic. Vulnerability is power, and it's courage, and it is the starting place of really, really special things. And that's all I've got for you. So thank you for listening, and as always, go Bears.
You see why the nominator, can everyone hear me okay? You see why the nominator called her the gold standard for student athletes at Cal. Angelina, that was awesome. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for sharing your story. It was really, really well done. Thank you.